What's going on, you guys? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, bringing you another update on the current slate of the live-action Transformers films. And it looks like all the rumors revolving around Michael Bay returning to the franchise are true, and we have a lot to talk about today, so stay tuned. But before we get into today's topic, I want to ask you guys to do me the biggest favor and like this video. Yeah, I know it's a bit annoying getting this request at the very beginning of the video before you watch it in its entirety, but YouTube's algorithm encourages it. So if you rock with your boy and you know I'm gonna bring you that awesome Transformers content, then smash that like button. And if by any chance you feel like you wasted 10 minutes of your time that you can't get back, then feel free to retract that like and give it a dislike. Just rate the video. But yeah guys, as you're aware, the rumor mill has been going around that Michael Bay will be returning to the franchise. After so many different box office failures and trying to do a course correction, Paramount has found it in themselves to bring the prodigal son back to the franchise. And a lot of people have a lot to say about that. Some people are happy that Michael Bay is coming back because this gives them all the things that they adore about his movies, which includes explosions, frat boy humor, as well as the humans that take up most of the screen time. But on the other hand, we have the fans who are enjoying what Paramount has to offer, which includes more Transformers. But unfortunately, those fans aren't taking up seats at the theaters, and it's reflected in the low box office ticket sales. And the executives over at Paramount have been trying hard to regain their footing and get the franchise back to where it needs to be, which is the billion-dollar box office club. And they're looking to bring the person back who helped them generate all of those dollars, which is Michael Bay. He's essentially going to be the chosen one that takes the matrix of leadership and jams it right into the chest of Paramount, just like Sam did to Optimus to revive him in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And if you needed any more proof about the legitimacy of these so-called rumors, then look no further than Deadline, which is considered the most legitimate source to have in regards to movie news. They've confirmed that Paramount has been in talks with Michael Bay, and they've actually acceded to the next phase, which is looking for a proper script to go along with his new Transformers movie. And this is coming right off of the merger of Skydance Media and Paramount and their new leadership. They've already gone into plans on what their slate is going to be and how they're going to try to bring Paramount back to that top position within Hollywood. Paramount's new CEO David Ellison said, and I quote, "One of our biggest priorities is restoring Paramount as the #1 studio for filmmakers and talent in the world. Great filmmakers make great movies. For us, we're going to strategically scale the amount of content for our streaming service as well as studios." And that's going to be a tall order to fulfill, because the Paramount that you guys see now is a fraction of what it used to be decades ago. Like, you got to keep in mind that they weren't just producing big blockbuster Transformers movies back then. They were actually the studio who spearheaded the first phase of the MCU, producing the first 2 Iron Man movies, Captain America the First Avenger, Thor, and even the first Marvel's Avengers movie before the rights got bought by Disney. And even though these MCU movies aren't generating as much money as they used to, I'm pretty sure Paramount would kill to be in Disney's position, because they do make a substantial amount of money, especially compared to what Paramount is making with these new Transformers movies that haven't been doing the numbers that we used to see. Deadline says, and I quote, "While it might seem like a high jump for the new administration to succeed, particularly after a studio that lost Marvel to Disney in 2009, it's only recently that Paramount saw some of its biggest grosses in more than a decade. In 2022, Top Gun Maverick, Tom Cruise's highest grossing movie ever and technically Paramount's too at a global level, rallied its annual grosses to 1.29 billion domestic and a 2.6 billion global. And Ellison Skydance had a tremendous amount to do with that success, having co-financed 50% of Top Gun Maverick. No doubt making Top Gun 3 a reality will be a prime to-do for Greenstein, Goldberg, and Granger." On the Transformers front, the franchise saw a rebooted live-action film, Transformers Rise of the Beast, which grossed $442 million globally at the box office, starring Anthony Ramos in 2023 and an animated pick, Transformers 1, Bow last year. Prior to the sale, the studio had 3 separate scripts in development, including one that sources say has Michael Bay returning to the franchise. Those scripts should be ready for new leadership to take a look at shortly. So as you guys hear, they already had scripts in the work before the big merger, but now that this merger has taken place and Paramount has a new CEO, they're looking to look at this script and see if there's any revisions that need to be made. Because even though Michael Bay is technically back in the director's chair for one of these projects, I'm pretty sure they want the story to at least be palatable for those who want a solid movie. We're talking something more in line with Transformers 2007 or Transformers 1, which had one of the best Transformers Transformers stories in any kind of movie that we've gotten so far. And while there is a lot to acknowledge in regards to all the flaws that come with these Michael Bay Transformers movies, you have to admit that his directive flair hasn't been matched since new directors have stepped in to helm these projects. There's just something about those earlier films that exude aura in the visual effects department. Although the 2007 movie is almost 20 years old, it still manages to look better than the later movies that have come out, which can all be credited to Michael Bay's keen eye for detail. I feel like he just knows how these characters should interact in an environment, especially when they're fighting, and I feel like if he has the right editor and writer, he can actually bring us a good Transformers movie. I think the biggest hurdle Paramount is going to have a hard time getting over is the perception of the brand. You know, Transformers, it hasn't been the same since Transformers The Last Night, not to mention that the whole movie-going landscape has changed, because if you guys remember, back when Transformers were generating billions of dollars, a lot of that money came from overseas in China, and as you're aware, China isn't really doing a lot of business with American movies right now. They're more interested in looking at their own films and depending on those movies to generate them billions, which they are doing. And we've been seeing a lot of these newer movies not be able to hit those billion-dollar numbers like we saw in the yesteryear because China isn't willing to play ball. So Paramount is actually going to have to put in more effort to bring in those big domestic box office numbers to tally up with the international market numbers. They're also going to have to figure out where they want this movie to take place, because we already have a new continuity for Transformers. But I'm pretty sure they know that there is a legion of fans who desperately want to see the Bayverse continued or at least completed, since we had that cliffhanger revolving around Unicron, and I am under the assumption that they're just going to do something ambiguous where they just flat out drop you in a universe where they don't disclose where it takes place, because that's kind of been where we're at with the Transformers movies. They don't let you know if these movies are a prequel or a reboot. The directors usually disclose that this is a new continuity, but there's always that one-off chance that the executive producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is going to say that they are somehow connected, even though the continuity just doesn't match. And that's the thing that I feel like they really need to do away with. Just get out of their feelings and just say that, hey, these movies are new. This is a new continuity. Now that you have Michael Bay back, you don't necessarily have to say that they are somehow connected to the Bayverse, because fans just want to see his style back on the silver screen. They want to see these highly detailed characters as well as these big explosive action sequences. We're living in a time where fans get their voices heard by these studios. If you guys remember, when fans of the Snyder films yelled loud and clear that they wanted a Snyder cut of the Justice League movie, Warner Brothers brought Zack Snyder back and footed the bill to the movie's production to come out on HBO Max. And now we're seeing a similar instance occur where Paramount is bringing back Michael Bay. Funny enough, we've already begun to see a resurgence of his style of Transformers, like the Direct Line insurance commercial featuring Age of Extinction Optimus Prime from a few years ago. And just recently, a camera company by the name of Small Rig put out a commercial featuring Bumblebee from Transformers 2007. And what I found interesting about this commercial is that they didn't use the model that had the modernized Camaro parts for it. They used the version that had the 1977 Camaro parts for it, which is a model that hasn't been used in almost 2 decades. So that just shows you that yes, there is interest in the Bayformers, and those designs still hold up well. So much so that they're willing to bring them out for these newer commercials. And we could potentially see them again in the near future once Paramount looks over these scripts and greenlights the movies. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. I just wanted to chime in and give you guys my thoughts on this, because like I said, it seems like the writing is on the wall that this guy is going to be making a return to the franchise. Whether it's just going to be for this movie or the long run is anyone's guess. I feel like if this movie gets a massive reception, then he will be back for the long haul, no pun intended. And if that's the case, I'm just hoping that he dials it down on the things that the fans hate and actually give us some better designs for most of these characters, especially the Decepticons, because they have always gotten the short end of the stick. I understand that he wants to make them menacing compared to the Autobots, but I feel like there needs to be a healthy balance, because you can give them similar features to the Autobots and still make them look evil, if you know what I mean. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna do it for us today, guys. What are your thoughts on this? Are you happy that Michael Bay is officially back directing Transformers films? And do you believe that he has what it takes to get back in good graces with the fans? thoughts? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. But if you really enjoyed this video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it with all your friends and followers on all the social media outlets. Sharing really makes a difference. Once again, this is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.